Okay, so let's get started. The module is Human Resources Management, and we're going to be using this book by Amos and the colleagues. You want to close out that? There you go. We're going to be using this book. It's a fairly simple book, and at the end of the book, there are summaries that you can always use, that I recommend that you use. And also, there are also questions, okay? There are also questions that I recommend that you also pay attention to. Okay, there are also questions that I recommend you pay attention to. And we're going to look at some of those as we progress with the module. Okay, so this is the textbook. I have ordered copies for both libraries, the Visual Library and the Alice Library and the East London Library, to be put on special note holding, so you can access those as well, right? And, the last part is it. Okay, so it's a fairly simple module. Okay, so just by a show, how many of us work within human resources? Okay. Okay, all of us are working? Okay. Right, that makes it easy as well, okay? Admin-related jobs? Admin work? Okay, so that will be close to HR as well. Support services? Okay, no one support services. Okay, support services as well. Okay. The advantage that you will have is that some of the concepts will be easier to grasp because they are obviously within those areas of study. I've got a paper circulating around for email addresses in the event that you can't access the slides on Blackboard. So if you can't access the slides on Blackboard, please make sure you fill out that questionnaire, that paper, and then I'll be able to send you the slides after the class. Okay. So let's get started. Brilliant. Okay. So like I said, it's a fairly simple textbook. It's available on short loans and in the library systems. My background also comes from a human resources industrial psychology background. Worked a bit in HR, did a bit of industrial psychology work, particularly on the research side. I remember the first time we used the textbook, a human resources management textbook in varsity. It was nowhere close to this being simple. So I'm glad that the textbooks have become simple, easy to follow, and you can always use it in your learning. Okay. What you will notice at the start of each chapter, there will always be a set of learning outcomes. Okay. Pay attention to those, very important. Okay. Because we've got a marathon session, 6:15, we're supposed to be finished. We'll be going very fast. Okay, but if I say to you this is very important, please, it is very important. Okay. Alright, so the basic part is now to lay the groundwork. What is human resources management? Why is it important? How does it manifest within organizations? And to a certain extent, those are the questions. Now, the questions that you're going to get the questions that you're going to get in your assessment have a lot to do with understanding concepts, obviously. There are some parts which ask you for labor-related matters. It's an important section. Right, so let's quickly go through the course outline. This is the course outline. You've got one day of the week where you have your class on a Thursday. And what we're supposed to cover is always on the outline, so you can read ahead. Ideally, you will notice that we're supposed to cover at least 2 chapters a day. That being said, on the 24th of April, there are 2 things I'm expecting from you. Okay. I have decided not that you guys should hand in the assignment on that day. Okay, so that you just have the test and not the assignment. Please hand in the assignment on the 8th of May. Okay, please make a note of that. The assignment for visual students is now due on the 8th of May, so that you've got more time to concentrate on your test as well. Okay? Right. How is your GP calculated? Well, your GP is calculated by the first test. You will notice it's written on the 30th of April. No. The first test is on the 24th of April, which is in 2 weeks' time. Okay? So the 24th of April, the mark that you get there, and the assignment that you hand in on the 8th of May, if you get a 50 in the test, a 50 in the assignment, that makes your final mark to your GP to be 50%. Okay? So it's a split half basically. Okay? The assignments, okay, turnover lift up. Okay? It should be a minimum of 2,000 words. The assignment is due on the 8th of May, not the 24th of April. 8th of May, it should be 2,000 words to 3,000 words. Okay? After you've completed the assignment, you must do a couple of things. Okay, let's first look at the topics. Go on page 2. You're supposed to choose one topic from the 3 topics. Okay? The topics all vary. Okay, some topics are around law. Topic number 1. Evaluate and discuss the role of affirmative action in South African organizations from the introduction of the Employment Equity Act in 1998 until today. Here's a clue on this question. You are supposed to look at the positives and the negatives of the Employment Equity Act. If you like, affirmative action. Please do note, affirmative action is part of the Employment Equity Act. So people can sometimes try and run away from the question and then just write about affirmative action. It's also about the Employment Equity Act. What you can do then, go and look at 2 journals I would recommend. www.sajhrm.co.za, sajhrm.co.za, that's the South African Journal of Human Resources Management. The other journal I would recommend is www.sajip.co.za, South African Journal of Industrial Psychology. Okay, if you want to play around with information on their very good resources, articles on human resources management. Okay, do you want me to repeat that?
Yes.
sajip.co.za and sajhrm.co.za. It's all one word. All the articles are free. 24 hours, you can easily access them. Okay. Right. If you struggle, drop me an email. My email is there. We'll be able to help you out. Okay. So you're supposed to go and look at the impact or the effect of affirmative action with the introduction of the Employment Equity Act. In other words, I'll give you an example. The Human Sciences Research Council did research on the impact of affirmative action. And they found out that most people who are leaving the country, particularly white males, attribute policies such as affirmative action. So you're supposed to critique that. Okay, go and find out what organizations are doing with regards to Employment Equity Act. Question number 2. So it's a choice, by the way. Critically examine and discuss the relationship between work performance, job satisfaction, and remuneration. Now, for this question, you really need those journals. You need to show empirical evidence. This simply means you need to show research that has been done that supports the relationship, if any, between those. So probably you're going to argue that how people perform is influenced by how satisfied they are in the job. What are the factors that influence that satisfaction? What are the factors that influence work performance? You can also here include theories. Okay, typical theories like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We move from lower order needs to higher order needs. So basically, if a company needs to see if people are performing optimally, they need to find out what are the lower order needs and the higher order needs that they can strategically place their packages that they're offering people. The last question, and this one is very broad, okay? Critically discuss the role of technology in the human resources function. In your discussion, pay attention to human resources processes activities and illustrate the impact of technology on these. Now, you can answer this question in two ways. You can pick one HR-related function, for instance, recruitment, and you talk about online recruitment. I will accept that. Or you can then pick a range of HR activities, and then you talk about the different ways HR intervenes. Training, you talk about e-learning. Performance management, you talk about performance management, information systems. So in other words, what role has technology played in the HR function? Is it a positive role? Is it a negative role? And can we get anything out of that? All assignments must provide a clear and well-explained discussion using academic research to back up your answer. That means that no Wikipedia. Okay? All right. And that's why I've decided gracefully to extend the assignment for you guys. Okay, there's no way you write the test and do the assignment. Focus on the test, okay? Also think about your assignment, okay? Test is on the 24th, we're going to talk about it now. You must explain and discuss the relevant theories. Go and look at theories, okay? So, and those, basically the websites I gave you will be able to help you with that. Okay, go to the next page. I think it's page 3. When you hand in your assignment on the 8th of May, there are a couple of things I'm expecting, okay? You must hand in the assignment, obviously. The second thing you must hand in is a plagiarism declaration form, which is right here at the back, okay? Please do note, in the Department of Business Management, we use what method of referencing? Harvard, okay. Some students from IPS always ask that question, can we use APA? No, you need to use Harvard, okay? On Blackboard, and I can email as well the guide that we use how to do Harvard referencing. You can get an email with that. So there's a plagiarism declaration form. Now this is very important because this is a way of then trying to get you guys to be serious about the assignment for starters. And number 2, this stops you from just going to download information and pasting it in the assignment. I'll give you a good example. 2 weeks ago, I had a student in one of my classes who just went to download information, didn't even think about what they were downloading, and then just pasted information there. Now, the sad thing is that they didn't bother to delete certain information. So in the assignment, I'm reading things like the problem with people in the Caribbean is that blah, 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 blah. In chapter 3, we're going to explore and justify why we're using this model. Refer to figure 2.4 and appendix 5. Okay, fine, I'm looking for figure 2.4, appendix 5, I can't find that. So blatantly, they just cut and they just paste. Okay, so the declaration form, if you're going to put your signature on it, you have to read what you're signing. Okay. The other thing that you're supposed to hand in with your assignment is the assignment feedback form, which is this form here. Okay? Now, when you get your assignment back, this is the rubric I'm going to use to give you the marks. So one of the things that's there is content. Is it relevant content? Is there evidence of thorough research? So that tomorrow, if you're given another assignment in another module, you know exactly where you lacked. Okay, this is a way of safeguarding against just marking assignments randomly. Okay, so you just need to fill in your name, and then you just hand it in to me, and then I'll fill it out when I mark your assignment, and then it gives you a picture. The third thing you need to hand in, and we need to go here now. You guys need to hand in what's known as a Turn-It-In report. Okay, Turn-It-In, have you heard of Turn-It-In? Okay, Turn-It-In is a software the university is now using to safeguard against plagiarism. Okay, some of you are smiling, and I think you know what it's like. Okay, so what Turn-It-In does, you write an assignment, you upload it onto Turn-It-In. Turn-It-In comes back to you with what's known as an originality score. In other words, Turn-It-In tells you where you plagiarized. Okay? It tells you that you got this information from this source. Have you referenced it? If you've referenced it, then you're clear. Obviously, if you haven't referenced it, it means it's cited as plagiarism. Now, I said on a faculty meeting where with honor students and master students were presenting their work, one student showed up with a proposal with a Turnitin score of about, originality score of about 65%. That means that 65% of the content in that report, that assignment, is coming from sources elsewhere, okay, fine, but they've been referenced. And when you did check, they were not referenced. That's cited as plagiarism. Okay, if you think plagiarism is a joke, we often hear of Shabir Sheikh. Shabir Sheikh has got a brother, Mo Sheikh. He had a PhD given to him, okay, it got taken away because it got cited with issues of plagiarism. Okay, I use Turnitin when I write my academic articles as well, so you guys must also do that. But this is what I want you to do. You will log on to Blackboard, and you will see a form which looks like this. Okay? Those that have accessed the slides, here you go. Those that have accessed the slides, this is how Blackboard looks like. Okay? You will go to content. Inside the content, you see where it's written class slides, and every Monday I always put the slides for the class. Okay, so in this case, on Monday you'll get the next 2 chapters. Right at the bottom there, you will see where it's written BEC assignment. Okay, view complete. Click where it's written view complete, and I'm going to upload and send this slide as well so that you can follow through. After you've done that, it asks you for some information. Please enter your name, your last name, and the title of your assignment. You've entered that, Vuyo, surname, Moyo, title of your assignment is HR challenges. After you've done that, you must upload, remember this part, you must upload the assignment. So wherever you've saved it, in this case most students save it from their computer, you upload the assignment, okay? The next thing that Blackboard does is to ask you and it confirms. And here's a good thing, Blackboard tells you that your word count is 6,279 words. Now, for your assignment, it must be between 2,000 and 3,000 words. The most sensible thing to do is cancel that. Go and reduce the number of words. If you're below the number of words, stop uploading it. Go and work on it again. Okay, so you've done that. You think everything is fine. Click confirm. Okay, it confirms. The next thing that you will see is this part, where it confirms it has sent it to you. Click on where it's written, go to assignment inbox. It gives you an ID. This is good. This simply means your assignment has been registered into Turnitin. After it's given you an ID, this then happens. You will see your name, Vuyo, the title of the assignment, but you'll also see this bar here written similarity. In some cases, right here, okay, I don't know if someone can come and help me so we can carry this thing down. Okay, no problem. Much better. Okay. So you will see where it's written similarity. Now, in some cases, it will give you the similarity score there and there. In some cases, as in the case there, you see it's blank. Okay, if it's blank, don't worry. Give it at least about 2 hours or an hour. It will then tell you what the similarity score is. Okay, so if your similarity score is 45%, okay, you should be getting worried to say, oh, 45%, that's a bit high. Okay, anything below 15% is good, because sometimes it picks up words which, like human resources management, and it cites that as plagiarism, but it's actually not plagiarism. Okay, and so, let's get one. BEC2? Okay, and so you obviously then get that report. Now, when you click the report, this is what I want you to do. Even if you get 80% on the first go, please print out the first page of the report. Go and make your changes, do it again. And then if from 80% you go down to 20%, then again that shows that you put in effort to actually adjust those things. Okay, so you need to print out 2 Turnitin reports. One is the first draft, But please do email me if you're struggling with this. But yeah, please do email me. Okay. Any questions so far? Are you fine with the heat? Should we switch on the... Okay. All right, so let's get started. Chapter 1. All right, so chapter 1. Okay, so when we're beginning with the topic on human resources management, we need to take a cadre and argue what's known as a historical perspective on where we're coming from. Okay, in the historical perspective, they start talking about where is the field of human resources management coming from. Okay, and so their thinking and their argument is that the field of human resources management started with a term that we all remember called personnel management. Okay. In the past few years, people say, oh, I work in personnel. I work in personnel. Some people still use that term. Okay. But ideally, the prediction from the authors, the various authors I've cited there, is that personnel management is actually dead. Okay. And when someone talks about personnel management, it's really a matter of trying to resurrect something that has already, had its shelf life. Okay? So now we're talking about the era of human resources management. In the era of personnel management, it was more administrative. It was more focused on making sure the books are, the register is there, the records are put in place, and for argument's sake, HR, as we come to know it, was never there or was never occupying a strategic role. And so this then became the era of this concept we now know as human resources management. Some have even argued that it shouldn't even be human resources management, it should be human capital management. So it's a matter of constantly changing and revisiting some of these traditional ideas. Now, this slide is very important. Okay? You know that's a key word. This slide is very important. The two slides, the two pyramids kind of tell us the picture of where we're coming from. Okay. In the personnel era, the main focus or the mainstay of the so-called HR personnel was merely from a purely administrative point of view. 50% of the work they did was administrative. Okay? But in the new era of the strategy, or the strategic era that some have called it, HR is now argued to be playing or needing to be playing a strategic role. What you will notice, what hasn't changed is the middle part. HR is still seen as operating or playing an advocacy role within organizations. So, if I ask you a question, trace the development of human resources management, personnel management was purely administrative. HR management is purely now being seen as occupying a more strategic role and benefit within organizations. If you don't have the slides, don't worry, I'll email them to you. There's a paper circulating around and the slides are available on Blackboard. So we might be cruising, just make notes just to keep up with what we're doing. If you like, in a different way, this is the difference between personnel management and human resources management. You will notice that the subtle difference now is more HR being a more dominant party to the day-to-day lifestyle of the organization. And this is particularly important because now you have titles like, this is the Executive Director of Human Resources Management, who also sits on the board for strategy formulation, who also does A, B, C, and D. HR is actually coming to the table to be an important party, and this is what the slide kind of zeroes into. Another way, if you look at it, this one, again, important. Traditional HRM or personnel management was more reactive. We knock on our door as people in the company, we need your services for A, B, C, and D. But the more modern role is now arguing to say, hey, hold on, we can also occupy an important role of actually being parties to the table, actually being more proactive. We're now measuring HR metrics rather than collecting data, helping set HR with strategic goals, that's more important in the new era, and the policies that we develop and revise are now more grounded within the overall lifestyle of the So this slide, again, like the previous two, just tells you the difference between traditional HRM and personnel management and human resources management, okay? And then obviously, in the exam, you can get asked with the test, provide a definition of human resources management. A number of authors are solicited here in the textbook and around the literature. Some talk about it in policy that concerns with people issues. Someone says it's the hiring and the firing of people, okay? A bit simplistic if you like, but it gives us a picture of that what HR does. I like this slide because it kind of tells us the core activities at the bottom. Recruitment, screening, training, rewarding, and appraising. Okay, so HRM, any function that is involving people within the organization, and those are the following activities at the bottom. Okay, I think this is another one. Let's go back. The process of attracting, developing, and maintaining talented people. Again, the first part tells us HR activities, which is still fine. All right. Stoney talks about the process of understanding employee needs. Okay. The best form of advice I got in 2004 when I finished my industrial psychology degree from one of my professors was, if you don't love people, don't go into HR. If you don't love people, don't go into HR, because people will come and tell you stories. People like in HR, like we lecturers. Do you know the amount of stories I hear from students? I get told about domestic issues. I get told about how children are stopping me from doing an assignment. I get told why I wasn't coming to class. And I don't mind those stories. But if you're going to tell such stories, please sometimes be realistic. There are some stories you think, I don't know about this story. Okay? One student missed an exam last year. Why didn't you write the exam? I had a domestic issue. I had to go sign divorce papers. I'm like, well, surely you could have waited after the exam. And he's repeating a third-year module, strategy module, because of that. So, don't go into people. And Stoney talks here about understanding people needs, okay, employee needs as a function of HRM. Okay. Again, we can talk about the different responsibilities. Those are important. Now, these are things that you just use in augmenting or cementing your answer in a test or an exam. Okay? You're short full of words and you want to add some, just add some of these responsibilities and duties, and you will find them in your text as well. Okay? Another important one. Why should we pay attention to the human resources function? Okay. Your textbook now talks about what's a competitive advantage. That we're now realizing that it's not just enough to have the technology as a basis for competitive advantage, but it's also good to have the people who support that technology. So if you read in your text, there's a talk about competitive advantage. If you want to make me happy in a test, please talk about competitive advantage, because that comes from strategy literature, and I'm happy to see it in HR literature. Okay, the traditional view that people who go into HR would have failed in other things, but it's really changing, because I think HR is becoming more proactive. Okay, so that slide is important. Please pay attention to why is human resources management important as a function. Okay? Right. All right, and where are they located? Well, they're located there with activities such as staffing, training and development, labor relations, compensation and benefits. Okay, you will notice over the next couple of weeks we'll be talking about each of those layers that are there. All right, I'm going to tell you a story now. And this story I was told when I was first year, 2002 as well. I really love the story. There was a man, it's an Indian story. Okay, there was a man who was riding an elephant. And then he came to a village to try and show people this elephant. But he got told the most unfortunate thing, that the number of people who were staying there who wanted to see this elephant were all blind. So he will have to show each and every one of these people a portion of what this thing called an elephant is. So one guy, let's start with the guy here, is blind. Okay, he goes and he feels the tail of the elephant. And he feels it's so soft and mushy and things like that. And the other guy goes and sees the belly of the elephant, and he sees a very big belly, which is rough, okay? The day students say, you know, this belly looks like a tenderpreneur's belly. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, but... and then the other one spoke about the leg, okay? He felt the leg of the elephant, and he felt some big, round, circular type of structure. The other guy felt the tusks, the other guy felt the trunk, and the other guy felt the ears. Okay, so at the end of the day, all these men were supposed to give a report on what is an elephant. Okay, so here's my question to you. Of these men here who are telling us what an elephant is, whose account is true? And whose account is false? Okay? I can't hear you.
No, I'm saying all of them are true.
All of them are true.
Because we'll be talking about different parts in the elephant.
Okay? Anybody else have anything to say? Okay, there's a concept called the Gestalt concept, which says the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And it kind of nullifies this, but you're absolutely right. All of these actually form the picture of an elephant. Now, did you know that if a tiny ant went into the trunk of an elephant, the elephant would die? Yeah. It's interesting how a big animal like that gets succumbed by this tiny little bug. Okay, so the important thing here, what am I getting to, is that HR is not should only be viewed from one lens. There are multiple lenses that we need to view it from. It would be very myopic of us if we were to neglect the other lenses. So these are the other important functions of human resources management. Please pay attention. Okay, here's another clue to this process called job analysis. You're going to hear a lot of that in the text and also in your assessments and so forth. Job analysis, the process of just really determining the abilities, skills, and qualifications needed to perform a job. On job analysis, here's another clue, important. You need to tell me the difference between a job specification and a job description. We're going to cover it ahead, but please just prepare for it. If you don't see it right here in April, you might see it in June. Yeah. All right. You also need to pay attention to a process called HRP, Human Resources Planning. Okay? This is the process of really making sure that we meet any envisaged future targets on what we're trying to achieve as a company. There is also a process of recruitment, which I'm not going to talk about. Obviously, you all know about it. But ideally here, pay attention advantages of the different methods of recruitment. Why is advertising on the internet better than advertising in the newspaper? Okay, why is advertising internally better than advertising externally? We're going to cover this, but this is just a pre-warning. Okay? And part of it is just because you guys have got a tight schedule. So try to make your life easy. Okay, employee selection, choosing the right candidate for the right job. Okay? And the other ones, appraisals, training and development, career planning, motivation. Okay, right. So let's move a step further. Okay, this is a diagrammatic representation of those issues that HR does. Why is this important? In the exam, in the test, you may need to explain an answer. And the best way to explain the answer, you need to know the activities. Okay. Please don't be vague. If there's anything I hate is students who are vague. It's the process by which, and you can actually see the person doesn't know, at least try and know what the activities and the functions of HR are. All right. Remember I said when something is important, I'll tell you. This is important. I'll tell you the page number in the book. Page 9 in the book. Very, very important. I'm going to try and explain it in a few minutes here. You are probably going to get asked in this class, assessment, or outside there to try and show how a function such as human resources management is affected by what happens outside it. for instance, political issues, for instance, all right? So you need to think about it. What effect will politics, the political environment, have on the HR environment? Okay, I'll give you a good case point, okay? I'm originally from Zimbabwe. 2004, 2002, 3, 4, things didn't go well in the country. Politics of the land. What started happening? People started leaving the country. Half of my relatives staying overseas, okay? Came to South Africa, worked here for a bit. I also went and joined them overseas as well. The point really is that when things are not well politically within a country, labor moves out. Basically, you have the concept of he was in exile. Okay? Basically, it simply means that the political environment was not conducive for him to stay in the country or work in the country. Okay? Of course, sometimes you then will have arguments of self-initiated people who put themselves into exile. That's another story in itself. What about issues of the economy linked to the politics? The economy crumbles, labor moves, but also look on the positive. Okay, some economies are doing well in Africa, South Africa for instance. Well, we might not believe it, but favorably, other people outside our country see this as a land of milk and honey. Okay, that there are opportunities here, but we may not see it. Okay, because the perception is that their economies in their country might not be doing well, and so they move here. Issues of the social, you can talk about the impact of HIV and AIDS. For instance, I asked this question to the day group and they told me things like, well, companies now have to spend a lot of money, absenteeism might be a common thing, issues of packages that deal with the health-related matters and so forth. Okay. So your role, okay, which is important, is to try and identify how each and every one of those factors, the legal environment we're going to cover in chapter 2, which is the next page. How does each and every one of these environments have an impact on human resources management? Okay, ideally pay attention to this. Okay? Staff retention, absenteeism, cost effectiveness, compliance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an important slide. Please go into the section on factors affecting human resources management. Pick out the factor, show how it impacts the function of HR. Another important slide. You could be asked to identify the roles that shape human resources management. And it gets interesting. Please don't tell me roles that you have thought about in your own little space. Say, well, you know what, horses for courses, I can just assume here. Please tell me the specific roles as you have been taught about, okay? The first role is a strategic, long-term focus role, okay? This simply means now HR must play a strategic role, okay? Rather than being a passive player, a reactive player, it also needs to take a proactive approach, okay? It also talks about issues of change management. Okay, issues that deal with how we let people adjust to the differences around us. Okay, HR must also play another role. Role number 2, manage people. Okay, I need to be specific here. Please tell the roles as they are put in the textbook. Okay, I really need to be very, very specific about this. Don't create your own role, rather create an abbreviation. SM squared O. Okay? How's that? SM squared. S is for strategic long-term focus. The first term is for managing people. The second one is for managing processes. This talks about the administrative role we're talking about. And the third one are more operational day-to-day activities. Very, very important. Sorry? SM squared O. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, the challenges, you can read about that. Okay. So what are the most important trends? Again, very important. What are the most important trends that are affecting human resources management? Well, we're moving towards the South African Board of People Practices. SABPP. Some HR practitioners are registered with the Health Professions Council of South Africa. Okay, in other words, we just want to move to an era where we certify people and their qualifications. The second challenge that's there is managing ethics. Now, we had a big discussion with the day group on this one. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, let's start with the Ubuntu one. How many of you believe in Ubuntu? Okay. Right. I believed in Ubuntu until a month ago, or was it 2 months ago? Okay, I stay in East London. 5 a.m. driving to the gym. Okay, it was dark, pitch dark. Okay, by the way, what does Ubuntu mean? Humanity. I am because of you, you are because of me. Yeah, good. 5 a.m. I see someone getting mugged. What does Ubuntu prescribe I do? Stop my car? Go and get involved. Do you know what I did? I just moved on. Okay? Now, and the other group started saying, oh, sir, you shouldn't have done that. How many of you would have stopped their car at 5 a.m. to go and try and help someone in trouble? But on a serious note, when we sell the package of Ubuntu to the outside world, people outside the country admire this concept of Ubuntu. I have friends from overseas I used to stay with. When they come here, they say, wow, man, this place is alive, man. There's this thing called Ubuntu. You guys are there for each other. And I'm not sure about that. If your assignment is late on the 8th of May, no. Okay, second issue, ethics. How many of you don't see a problem with taking a piece of paper from your workplace and going home with it for your child to go and draw nice fluffy clouds and pictures? Is there anything wrong with that?
Yes. It's a dilemma.
It's a dilemma. But why is it a dilemma? Would you steal your company's laptop?
I'm not stealing. I asked for the laptop.
You asked for the picture. Why is the laptop a different case? It's more expensive. Okay, and then this is where I then became unpopular with the day group. I started talking about piracy. Half of the music you have on your external hard drive or your whatever hard drive is not the original music. It's music you got from your friends. And you get these friends who come over to your place and say, hey, can I have this? I want to go and download. That's the word they use. I want to download. Okay, so we are faced with a challenge, a big challenge, which is the issue of ethics. How do we manage ethics when people have twisted ethics where they don't see anything wrong with stealing a piece of paper, but they see everything wrong with stealing a laptop from the employer? One of HR's important duties or trends that they need to watch out for is ethics and performance systems. That talks about what you're going to cover in your assignment. The new idea of the HR manager, okay, not just a person who's just involved in the administrative role, but also a person who's more strategic and long-term. Okay, when I was at NMMU, then University of Port Elizabeth, HR students didn't do accounting. And the argument when we asked why it was because, well, they are HR students, they don't need accounting. Okay, but that has become flawed in itself to say they must have numeracy and financial acumen around them. And also the idea also of empiricism. Okay, we need to prove something. You can't go to your workplace and say, boss, we want you to introduce new measures. Okay, the boss would say, please, have you done a research? So HR people also need to be involved into the idea of proving. Okay, this slide on trends should be viewed with that other slide on global, economic, political, and so forth. All right, that was chapter 1. Okay, just in time for chapter 2. Which is important, by the way, which is another core chapter. Okay, so I've told you what's the most important thing in chapter 1. Please pay attention to that. Chapter 2 is a very long one. Okay? is a very interesting and a long one, okay? It's about legislation. Now, I don't think you guys are going to struggle with chapter 2 because you're working, so you know some of these things and issues, okay? So let's start with some of the key basics, okay? The most important document that you and I have that governs things and issues in our land is that Constitution, okay? And that's why people like Terra Lakota would come and say, if we start messing with the Constitution, we're messing with people's liberties. Okay, I really love that punchline. Okay, so the Constitution provides an overarching means by which the state does its duties. Okay, so you've often heard that what this person has done is unconstitutional. Okay, on the basis of argument, really it's against what the rules of the land state. From all other legislation, this is important, I'm going to give you a little quiz now. The Constitution, all other legislation streams from the Constitution. Employment Equity Act, Skills Development Act, Labor Relations Act, Basic Conditions of Employment Act, all should become a part of the Constitution. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution is the supreme act of, or the supreme law of the land, okay? It also provides a guideline through which relationships around employment take place. I'll give you some examples, okay? This is a diagram that kind of tells the picture, okay? The Constitution is on the outside, statutory laws are there, common law is another example we gave to the day group. There is a guy who owns some villa in the Western Cape, had two people who happened to be gay come to their, or homosexual, I don't know what the term would be, you know what I mean? Knocked on his villa and said, we want to stay here for the weekend. And the guy noticed that, and then he says, I'm refusing you right of entry to my property. Okay? And they said, no, you can't do that. That is unconstitutional. You can't do that. That is discrimination. We're protected by the Constitution. So the big debate that's happening here is around issues of common law. If you've been to some places, you often see outside the door, it's written, we reserve the right of entry. Meaning someone can stop you from using their premises. Okay, and the main argument is are they justified in stopping them using that premises? Okay, that's on the side issue. Okay, so what does the Constitution guarantee? The Constitution is there to make sure that we don't have a lot of disputes. Ironically, even with a good Constitution, we still have a lot of disputes. Okay, but one of the things we should be proud of is that piece of document in the Constitution. It's also there to extend what's known as tripartisan or the cooperative spirit. Tripartisan ideally between the government, the employer, and the employee. Okay, employee often represented by their trade union, of course. It inculcates the government's labor market policies, secures what's known as centralized bargaining. Importantly, is the requirement of this organization called the ILO. Does anyone know what the ILO is?
International Labour Organization.
International Labour Organization. Why should we care, or why should we be signatories of the International Labour Organization? They're the oversight body. Yeah, but so what?
So we have to comply.
We have to comply. Okay. The ILO every year releases a report which is known as the ILO country by country report. Basically, it's a report that talks about issues of employment, labor within a particular country. Now, what does that mean? That simply means that if our report is unfavorable, this report is sent all over the world, people see it, and investors see it, investors would avoid it. I mean, where is it? Mercedes-Benz, they lost out a contract to manufacture one of the latest cars because of strike action. Okay, it was in the dispatch. So the ILO is this body that is there to actually present these international standards, but importantly, it's also there that we adhere to it, and that's why we're signatories to it. Okay, Section 23 of the Constitution talks about guaranteeing fair labor practices. In other words, labor practices as we've come to know them, your right at work is grounded within Section 23 of the Constitution. Okay? You'll have a read at that. Section 9 talks about equality before the law. Hey! Even Oscar Pistorius is having his day in court. That's wonderful. Okay? That's wonderful because in some countries, you don't do that. What's in South Korea, that guy killed his own uncle. Okay, Kim Jong-un, whatever, killed his own uncle. Okay, you can't speak against the government, but here everybody has their day in court, and this is quite good as well. You want to say something?
No, I'm saying I'm just gonna agree with that when I see our president
Oh,
heading
the president.
on the current ministry.
Have you read a book called Animal Farm by George Orwell? Okay. In fact, I recommended another book called Who Moved My Cheese? Spencer M. Johnson or something on the change management part. Brilliant book. Okay. Section 17 gives you the right to picket, to demonstrate in front of your employer. Okay, it gives you the right to strike. Obviously, it's within the parameters of the law, okay, which we're going to cover and talk about, okay. Still, I haven't told you what's important, so bear with me. Section 18, freedom of association, okay. Now, please take a blank piece of paper. I'm going to give you 7 questions. And I want to see if you've been paying attention for the last 5 minutes. You don't have to show me the answer, but this is your own test. Okay, let's start. Question number 1. True or false? In South Africa, all labor laws are subject to the Constitution. Is that true or false? Please write it down. Please write it down. Okay? Not all the questions, just write true or false. Just the answer. You don't have to hand it in. It's just a test for your own knowledge. Okay? Question number 2. Can the Constitution or a constitutional court overrule the authority of Parliament? Yes. I will. Please, it's a personal exercise, okay? Question number 3. The Constitution is the supreme act of the country. Question number 4. Appealing a case starts at the level of the Constitutional Court. Question number 5. There is no relationship between the Constitution, employment, and common law. Question number 6. Section 23 of the Constitution makes provision for fair labor practices. Question number 7. The Constitution is Act number 108 of 1994. Okay. If you get 7 out of 7, you have been paying attention. If you don't, please. Okay. All right. Are we done? Yes. Okay. Here we go. Answers. In South Africa, all labor laws are subject to the Constitution. That's true. Yes. Can the Constitution or a constitutional court overrule the authority of Parliament? True. In fact, Parliament is governed by the Constitution. Yes. And for you to watch this, go and download Terra Lakota in Parliament. I like that guy when he's talking. There's a video where he's got a slingshot in his hand and he's holding the Constitution in his hand. Yeah. The Constitution is the supreme act of the country. That's true. Yes. Appealing a case starts at the level of a constitutional court. So, Sislandi, you've got a problem at 40, and then you say, yeah, I'm going to take you to the constitutional court. When you get there, they will laugh at you. They'll say, hi, this is a labor matter. There are other processes that we're going to talk about. There is no relationship between the Constitution, employment, and common law. Remember the circle we drew? Yeah. Section 23 of the Constitution makes provision for fair labor practices. That's true. Aha. The Constitution is Act number 108 of 1994. Is 100 and what?
1996.
Of course, 1994 it was the birth of a new democracy. 7 out of 7.
Okay. 7 out of 7.
5. Okay. All right. Well done. Okay. Now let's go into the important bits. Okay. The important bits. You need to know the stuff about the contract of employment. What's in a contract of employment? And quickly we'll go through it. It's a legally binding document between parties to an agreement. One party And trust you me, sometimes in the morning when you wake up going to work, it sounds like slavery. But this is the definition they provided in the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. This is for obviously for a fixed wage or indefinite or determined period. It must be a monetary wage, by the way. There was an argument in one report I read where a farmer decided to pay his employees with potatoes. But then the argument was that according to Basic Conditions of Employment Act, it must be a monetary wage. The time must be agreed. It must be permissible by law. For instance, here's an interesting one. You're a driver for a company. Your duty is to drive. Then your employer makes you deliver data. And then I committed a cardinal sin during the day. I said between Lusikisiki and Amtata. And the students from Lusikisiki were not happy. I said, no, it's giving a bad image. Okay, so the driver, you've been asked to transport data. Okay, are you still doing your job to drive? Yes. But the function or the activity you're being asked to do is not constitutional. It's against what the Constitution encourages. So in this case, everything in the contract of employment must be permitted by law. It mustn't be outside that arrangement of what's in the law. Remuneration must be paid and must be fixed. Consensus is attained between parties. Okay? Basic Conditions of Employment Act, important. What are the duties of an employer? The duties of an employee. Okay? An employee is a person who renders a service, as we've spoken about. An employer is obviously the one who makes use of that person's services. So this is a slide that talks about the duties of an employer: to appoint the employee into service, give remuneration, provide safe working conditions, comply with any requirements of the law. This then comes that DACA example. If it's not permitted by the law, then it's not, the employer is not actually performing their duty in good faith. Okay? Duties of an employee, again, very important. They give their service, okay? Interesting one. They must provide competent service. You can be dismissed for incompetence, and the employer will argue, I am dismissing you because you're incompetent. You're not able to perform the duty that you are supposed to perform. Okay? Sorry?
But only being done because you are.
Yes, yeah. Ooh, we've got a legal guru here. Yes. They must also show evidence of what's known as corrective action. Okay? If they you arrive at work late, and then they try to help you, maybe it's a shift job, they put you on another shift, absolutely, and we're going to talk about that in chapter 14. Okay, duties of an employer, very important, and employee. Okay, independent contractor, what is the difference between an independent contractor and an employee? An independent contractor provides a contract of service, an employee provides a contract of work. Okay, put simply. In the BCEA. Okay? Remuneration. Important. Under what three conditions, under the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, can employment cease? The first one is a dismissal. Okay? For misconduct. Okay? You can't be dismissed for that. Okay, obviously, written warnings, blah, 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 depending on where you are. The second one is a termination based on operational requirements, also known as a no fault of the employee clause. In other words, if you're terminated there, it's not your fault. Bankruptcy, the employer cannot provide work anymore. They don't have skilled, good one, acts of God. You wake up one morning and the company gets destroyed by a hailstorm, they can't provide any work. And then the final one, incapacity, which we're talking about just now. Also important. Okay? Contract of employment. Okay, now, very important. You will be presented with a range of options for the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Please note the following range of options. What does the law say with regards to working time? Now, I'll give you a good example here. The question will probably be worth 3 marks. So you can't say, the law says that you can work maximum of 45 hours a week. That's correct. But you also need 2 other months. You must present the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin would be, show you now, the compressed working week. What if you don't work Monday to Friday, but you only work 3 days a week? That's also a regulation with regards to working time. So ordinary hours of work cannot exceed 45. There must be 9 hours in a day where you work 5 days or fewer, or 8 hours in a day where you can be asked to work more than 5 days. The rule of thumb is the 45 hours in a week. But remember, when you present the alternatives, you must present both sides of the coin. So, number 1, ordinary hours of work, very important. Number 2, what does the law say with regards to maternity leave? I'm just telling you before we go past through the important aspects. Maternity leave. What does the law say with regards to absence from work, your sick leave? What does the law say with regards to Sunday work? You don't ordinarily work on the Sunday, working on a public holiday. Okay, so that's basic conditions of Employment Equity Act. Okay, it's a lot, eh? Yeah. Okay, that's the overtime bit, and you can have a look at it. Compressed working week, when you work a shorter week, you work more hours, and obviously they regulate the amount of overtime that you can work there. Sunday work, remember, if you don't ordinarily work on a Sunday, you get paid double. Okay, if you do work on a Sunday, it should be 1.5 of what the normal rate that you usually get. Okay, right. The other 3 main acts we're going to quickly whiz through, which are in the textbook. Labor Relations Act talks about strikes and strike action. Equity Act, I'm not going to talk about that because that's an assignment question. Okay? You also see the Skills Development Act. Okay. Please do note the definition, and this is important for that assignment question. The definition of the affirmative action. I have put it in red. Affirmative action is a labor market policy aimed at addressing past imbalances due to discrimination. So you can discriminate fairly. Okay? Positive discrimination, fair discrimination, some have called it. Okay? Right. So the red part is the definition of affirmative action. There is a difference between employment equity and affirmative action. This is the difference. Employment equity is a legislation that is focused at addressing or preventing what happened in the past to happen in the future. Affirmative action, on the other hand, is a labor market policy aimed at addressing specifically what happened in the past. You see the difference? One is focused with the past, affirmative action. The other one is focused with the future, and so that what happened in the past does not happen in the future. Okay, that's the simplest way I can put it about the differences between the two. Okay? Then you can also have what's known as unfair discrimination. Employment Equity Act discriminates or defines unfair discrimination on the basis of race, ethnicity, social origin, color, culture, gender, sex, pregnancy. Oh, pregnancy is a good one. Your boss asks, or it's an interview, you get asked the question, do you intend on falling pregnant in the next couple of months? No, you don't ask that question. Okay? Because the person will then argue, well, I didn't get this job because I cited my intention of falling pregnant. Okay, so there's some questions obviously you run away from. Disability, HIV status, religion, conscience, belief, and language. So Section 10 of the Employment Equity Act says discrimination along the above grounds is unfair unless it is deemed to be fair. Now, unless part talks about unless it's an inherent part of the job. You apply for a job to be a nursery teacher at a Muslim school, but you're a Christian, okay? And they refuse to give you that job. Is that fair or unfair?
It's fair.
Okay? The employer must prove that being a teacher at that school, and being Muslim, by the way, is an inherent part of the job. If they fail to prove that, then that becomes unfair. Okay? You are working at a company and someone says, well, we're not employing black people. Okay? The employer must prove that them not employing black people, okay, is an inherent part of the job. So in other words, it won't help with the day-to-day operations. But someone will then argue, well, I am a particular community group, okay, and I only want to see people from my own community group there, okay. It's only fair if they can prove it's an inherent part of the job. If they can't, then it becomes unfair. So some examples: harassment, okay, the one about the intended falling pregnant; medical testing, if not permitted by law. You just rock up to work and your employer says, we're going to do a polygraph test. Someone stole money from the till yesterday. Okay, well, there must be processes around this happens, and this also applies to psychological testing. Okay, but however, fair discrimination is also provided within the Act. For example, a company can argue it is providing managers with cost to company cell phones or laptops, but not to ordinary employees. Is that fair or unfair? Do you think every ordinary employee should have a company cell phone?
No.
Okay, but if it's a manager, the argument could be that they could have it. Okay, we're left with 10 minutes, okay? Fine. We finish at 15:15. What time is it? Okay, we're left with 10 minutes. Okay. Also, there is what are known as designated groups. These are people defined as black people, women, people with disabilities. Hereafter referred to as designated groups. You guys know all of this because this is the language spoken in corporate world. Okay. Discrimination, protection of the employee and the job applicants. The protection must be there, must be direct or indirect. Okay. What else is important? Suitably qualified. Okay, interviews, very important as well. Interviews must be seen to be sensitive, objective, and unbiased. So that's the example of, do you intend on falling pregnant? It's a no-no question in an interview. Okay, let me just quickly go past through and I'll tell you what's important. Substantive Act, the Labor Relations Act, is also important. Particularly, did you know that up until recently, domestic workers and agricultural workers were not covered by the Labor Relations Act? So there's been this huge overhaul to include those. Importantly, people within the Defense Force, the national agencies, secret services, and police are not allowed to strike. I'm sure you know that. Okay? Why do we have the Labor Relations Act? Okay, this is very important, and I want to end here, okay? All right? This is very important. There are two principles that we must adhere to when we are trying to assess whether a matter is being dealt with fairly or unfairly. The first one is the principle of substantive fairness, okay? The second one is the principle of procedural fairness. Procedural fairness talks about the proper steps have they been taken. You just can't get dismissed immediately. You need to get a warning, verbal warning, a written warning, and there's a final warning, or some cases you're asked to have a hearing. Okay, but if the employer just says, I'm sick and tired of your behavior, you're fired. Okay, that violates the principle of fairness known as procedural fairness. Substantive fairness, on the other hand, talks about the weightier matters of an issue. Someone a month ago got fired for stealing a bar of chocolate. You stole a bar of chocolate and you don't get fired. Okay, depending on how many warnings you had, obviously also mitigating and aggravating circumstances. Then the employer must take in those ideas of consistency. Okay, are we applying the law across the board and fairly to everybody else? In other words, are we providing valid, consistent reasons across the board that apply to everyone else? Please, this is important. The two types of fairness, procedural and substantive fairness. Okay? Tell you else is important, and then I explain them. You've got the slides, you'll be able to see them. Okay? Then I give examples of the SABC. Okay, that's that. Right. In a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, that's chapters 1 and 2. Okay, we've covered them both broadly, so next week I'll be able to bring in some stuff as well if we've skipped anything. Any questions? Please do note, I have changed the date for the assignment. It's now due on the 8th of May. But your test is on the 24th of April. So the test is coming up very soon, and the reason why we do that, ideally we're supposed to have 2 classes, but because of the arrangement we only have 1 class, so we really must have the test. Any questions? My email address is on the course outline. Drop me an email. Questions about the previous module. Please bear with the lecturer. He's still trying to finish all your assignments. Hopefully next week I'll have them for you. Okay, if you haven't got a course outline, please see me. If you're stuck, need any clarity, drop me an email and we can discuss. Okay? Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, someone's asked me a question. Okay, guys, please let's pay attention to the question.
Are we having a class next week? Bear in mind it's Easter, everybody's going away.
Look, the obvious answer to that is because, yeah, if we miss next week's class, we're in trouble. To move it when? Sorry? Wednesday I've got IPS 5 from 5 until 7. So if we're going to do it on Wednesday, it will have to be
From 6
okay, let's do this. It's going to be difficult. If you don't come to class, it is your duty to catch up. Yeah, I will be here. I can confirm I will be here. Okay, I've not said don't come to class. Please come to class. In fact, I might give more tips next week before the test. Yeah. Start on the assignment.
Yeah, you see, you look alike. Buja. Seki Chinese. Oh.
Monday we are singing that paper. All right, see you tonight. Iribo, thank you for my own son. Yeah. No, they're there. Sisland is in a class. Oh, yes. What about those ladies here? They stay in King. Yeah. And I don't know animal security. Or you can actually be soliciting research ideas for them. Who cannot know. And that's not my idea. After you sent the thing, exactly. Apologies for no response. I lost your SMS. Lost it where you deleted it. Yeah, one of the kids died. My father was crying uncontrollably because of what you were saying. I find it so strange that people would be commenting about those ridiculous t-shirts but not that project. To even give ideas. I commented about yes, I did, and I appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm going to say thank you. It's also writing a personal message saying, please give your time response to the issue. You know what you made it look like? Like you approached them. full-time job.
They haven't offered it.
So you're going to ask for permission so that you come and work on Sundays or something.
He respects you because he says I respect you. I always say people treat you the way your wife or your husband treats you. I like.
Piki pacha, piki pacha poo. Piki piki poo.
He's laughing. And he was showing off at I know class at Philip's class.
The people don't want us here.
They're not here. Isn't it that?
No, I see Shuna. Maybe that happened. Why can't we go ask the CEO of his friend?
I think that's not a friendship as in they're friends. I think that's trying to smooth and sort of things what they're saying.
That's my back.
Yeah. Aibo, they don't want to see us.
I don't know how that one even started, eh?
What?
Puchu puchu papa.
Oh,
It's like we've seen them all often. It's like we've seen all of them, eh?
what?
The sayings.
And Jesus baby is 1 month today. Yeah, she posted that. I'm thinking, if I post this on 6 months, it's going to be like,
They say you're full of yourself.
and I was like, I think I'm dead.
Then it becomes a competition and people like them saying, oh, that's it. Huh? Should I reverse?
Oh, is he here?
Oh,
Let's,
oh.
mustn't we reverse? Because we're going to go out now. Kick, better. Yeah, better. Make sure the thing doesn't fall because I know better will but
Okay. Thank you. No, today finishes at 6:30. Starts at 5.